And we're recording. High Priestess Nighthawk of Heavy Temple. the High Priestess, not just any priestess.
Maybe a little high, yeah.
Of Heavy Temple. Maybe. That's fine.
It's fine. Whatever.
No judgment here. No judgment here. It's Saturday afternoon. It's a long weekend. Hi. Hi. Thanks for taking the time to talk on this Memorial Day weekend.
Sure.
I very much appreciate it. And I very much dig your album, and I want to talk to you about it.
Okay.
So, Lupi Amoris, The Wolves of Love.
Mm-hmm.
Take me through the timeline of the songs.
Okay.
Because, you know, in 2019, you had a band, and then you were like, and then you had a whole new band. And as I recall, that's exactly how it went.
Yeah.
So do the songs on this record predate the band that's playing it?
Yes. Some of them predate even the previous lineup.
Wow. Okay.
Like I think you saw us when it was myself and it was the first time we were a two-piece. So it was myself and June, and then then it was myself and Tina, and then myself and Tina and Brandon, and then me and Tina and Leanne. Yes. So I think I had started writing Isabella maybe in like 2016 or 15 or something. Oh, that's weird. That's weird. It's like so long ago. I feel like the 90s happened like 5 years ago.
and yet
and now it's the middle of 2021.
Anything before, yes. And yet anything before March 2020 is an utter fog.
Yeah.
Yes.
No,
and
so
everything after.
So this is it's hard to think about where to start. So yeah, some of these songs I had been working on, and I think maybe the Maiden I had also started working on 2 lineups ago. Anyway, so yes, so some of those songs have been written for a while, and it's just like with the lineup changes, you're just sort of like rehearsing all the time.
Yeah.
To catch up, and then you're playing shows and you get caught up in that. So finally we were able to put these songs out with this lineup, and we've already started writing for another album because we haven't played anything, haven't done anything,
right? So
we've just used this time to write. So I think the songs were like mostly written when this lineup came together, but then they just changed. I noticed in that review you did of the album that you were talking about sort of cultivating the sound live, like on the road. And I think that's true, just because we got into the studio and we were getting ready to do the shopping thing, and then the plague happened, and
I think I heard something about that. Yeah.
But needless to say, we're putting it out finally. So
it's true, you are.
I think this might be the best. I think this is the best sounding record, composition wise and mastering and mixing and all that. I mean, ideally that's how it goes.
You would hope. Yeah.
I don't want to make like a Saint Anger ever.
Right. It's like, I don't know.
I guess it has its endearing moments, but whatever. I can't talk shit. It's Metallica, whatever. So that's pretty much it. They've just been worked and kind of reworked for the last probably 5 or 6 years.
Wow. Yeah. And at what point in that does the theme of the album enter into it, or like writing to a theme, sort of putting lyrics to a theme, sort of thinking of the Maiden and Isabella?
Well, I kind of wanted to I'd kind of wanted to write lyrics about this for a while, and I did, and then I think I was.
When did you read the book? What was
Oh,
the?
the short story. I
Yeah,
that
short story. Sorry.
yeah, probably like 6 years ago.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I think maybe even right after I finished reading The Dark Tower. I don't know. um, but uh, yeah, and I just sort of I I liked the notion of that story, um, and the Wolves of Love is also sort of a nod to Hounds of Love by Kate Bush because I really like that album. I really like Kate Bush.
Okay.
Just make it Latin. um,
Metal it up with some
yeah.
Latin. Yeah, legit.
So I like the notion of the story where, instead of like needing to be saved, um, she's just like, yeah, well, I'm let's do this. For I could put it more eloquently, but
Dumb.
I also just I also just really like the imagery, like the sultriness of it. I think there's been 2 film versions of that made. I think maybe one with like Angela Lansbury even. Yeah. um,
Not the
but
most obvious pick, but
no.
okay.
But the aesthetic of like the dark fairy tale, like Hansel and Gretel at face value is just a cautionary tale about like let's like not go into the woods and eat candy at strangers' houses or whatever. But the story is so much darker than that, and same thing with all of those, like whether it's Grimm or just sort of like cultural fairy tales. There's always this like underbelly, and I think that that Carter story is that for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just about finding finding something or attracting something
Okay.
uh, in a much larger sense. So,
How do you mean?
um, well, it's like it's a I guess it's a personal theme because I'm writing about my own experience, and just sort of not knowing what you're doing or what you want, and then all of a sudden, when you don't expect it, this person finds you and can change many things in your life. Um, it's hard to talk about it because I like to be private in my personal life.
I was going to say
When
you're being vague.
I
Yes.
know.
Yes.
I like to be private in my personal life. But
Really, I never would have guessed from High Priestess Nighthawk. Wait, wait. That's not even your real name, is it?
no, it's not. It's not what's on my
Oh,
birth certificate.
wow.
So you'll have to pardon the gaps in my speech because I'm just sort of trying
Okay.
to be vague.
It's fine. You can be vague.
um,
You
no,
can be vague.
but I mean the thing is too is that I don't find that that's like it feels almost kind of weird in a way writing, I guess, like a love songs, um because that's not, at least in most of the stuff that I've heard, it's not like a common theme when it comes to heavier music, in the sense that like you have, like Scorpions singing all like those are love songs, I guess, right? you know, in a way.
In a
But
way,
like
sure.
the more like deep and emotional side of love, I guess I just don't hear too much of it. So sometimes it feels weird if I'm not talking about like dragons or wizards or like other awesome crazy concept albums.
So you made it about wolves.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
Sorry.
The analogy is metal enough, I guess.
Yeah. No.
Um, yeah, you're right. All right, I did make it about wolves.
Sorry. It's a very good record. I have enjoyed it a lot. I actually, you know, I have I have some experience in listening to heavy tempo at this point,
This is true.
and I when you put out Chase It or Chaz It,
That's it.
Chaz It, thank you.
Mhm.
When you put out Chaz It, I was like, this is your debut album. You know, and you know, I was ready to die on that hill. I was, because I only go in for the highest of stakes, right?
Right.
So, but listening to this album, it's so obvious to me how much Chasset was not, right. Like I
Yeah.
feel like the the level of sort of the way the songs speak to each other and work off of each other, and the flow from front to back, it's you know, it's a different level for the band, um, which is part of why I'm sort of interested in the fact that it's come together over the course of 6 years and through different players and
Crazy, dude.
and all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
Well, it kind of is, like, because you know, one of the most striking things about it is that it's so cohesive.
Mm.
Um, you know, and I guess I'm not trying to blow smoke up your ass, but I guess that's, you know, you can attribute that to the songwriting at the heart
Mm.
of it, and the, you know, in the recording process as well. What was the last thing you wrote for the album?
The last track.
Okay, the
Yeah.
Howling.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Um, and um, I think the first song was the second to last. Because I've been working on that for a couple of years, and then, like I said, the middle of the album are kind of songs that were either floating around for a while, or, like I said, had to be reworked or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and then just sort of naturally bookended by A Desert Through the Trees and Howling. So
I like, you know, a while back you wished Josh Homme a happy birthday on Instagram or something,
you did.
and and in light of that, and you know, said you noted the influence, and in light of that, listening to A Desert Through the Trees,
Obviously, yeah.
right? I was like, oh yeah, there it is,
Yeah.
there it is, you know.
Yeah.
And I love a desert rock style song that talks about the desert. Also, I'm just a sucker for that. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Not from the actual desert.
no,
But I mean, it's I think when when I'm writing lyrics and naming songs, because we usually just have like working titles, like Thrash John, or that 2-part song that starts with what, you know what I mean?
yes,
So
yes.
you have to make better titles for the album. Um, but I think I like to have like a mental picture in my mind as sort of like I don't know what sort of landscape or imagery the lyrics coupled with the song conjure up for me, and then that's usually how I finish. The lyrics are always the last thing to happen,
Okay.
and the naming is always also the last thing to happen. So I was like, this, I mean, it's a little tongue in cheek, but I was like, this sounds like a fucking Josh Homme riff. So let's just play around with the words a little bit, and
You went with it. You
it
went
would be a
with
little obvious.
it. No, it's fine. Makes a good opener. So
Yeah.
don't worry about it.
Yeah.
How much of sort of what the album captures, and sort of, you know, in bringing all those ideas together, how much of that is what you want heavy tempo to be, and how does that compare to either what you thought heavy tempo would be 8 years ago, or what you wanted it to be at that point?
Um, so when I started the band, it was just me writing like the first EP in the basement. And then I had some friends who liked the songs and were willing to play, and that lineup dissolved on its own. And then I was like, shit. And then I started playing with June, and they moved, and I was like, shit. And then I started playing with Tempest, and then that was cool. Amazing drummer. And then we got, well, what was Brandon's name? Barguest. It's some sort of devil dog. That's what he wanted to be called. Um, but he was great. He ended up leaving and going to work for NASA or something.
Legit.
I think, yeah, he's like super fucking smart.
Obviously, yes.
Yeah, and then it was the previous lineup with Thunderhorse, Leanne, and now this one, and going through all of them, I
Are you
kind
north of 10 former members at this point? No,
of
right? You're not quite.
7,
Okay.
and then with these two, 9.
You're already counting them as
And
former
I'm 10.
members?
No, 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 no. Oh my god, absolutely not. No, so like
When they invariably leave.
no, no. Oh god, I hope not. No, it's been it's been interesting because each time the band has sort of dissolved or whatever, I just get like despondent as shit for a little bit, and then things just happen the way that they happen. I mean, I was looking for a drummer on Craigslist because that's how I was like, but keep in mind, I was living like in the middle of nowhere at the time.
Okay.
And then Tina messaged me, and I was like, holy shit. Like she was like a bunch of other people had flaked, and she messaged me, and I was like, and then she came to play, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, where have you been? you know? And then I think at that point, because she was such a solid drummer, I think at that point, that's when it was a little bit easier for Heavy Temple to keep going. But I don't think, I think when I moved to Philly, that was really when the train started actually moving, for a lot of reasons. You say I'm from Delaware, and people are like, oh, see you later. And I have not discussed the way that the previous lineup and I parted. It was a very hard decision, and it wasn't something that I wanted to do, but sometimes you just have like different personal and creative goals. But it just got to the point, and I can't speak for them. I think it might be true, but at least for me, I think it was just like kind of it started to not become as fun.
Okay.
And I know that I think they're both still playing stuff. So yeah, I don't know. I was really hoping that lineup would be the lineup. Because they're both fantastic musicians. And we had a lot of fun together. But I think this lineup currently is just this amalgamation of what everybody that's been in Heavy Temple has brought to the table. And I always kind of intended initially for the band to be like, okay, if you can't play this tour, then we can have somebody fill in. And, if this guy can't play, we can have him play this show. And not for any other reason, but then it just seems like that's like the easiest way to just keep going.
Yeah.
It's to just have sort of a revolving door of people. And that's not to say, I mean, I certainly don't want to sound like it's like, oh, I'll just find somebody else. Because it's really hard to find people who want to do what you want to do, that you get along with, who have the same, like, creative inspiration or whatever, you know, especially drummers, because every drummer's in like 6 bands, right?
Because a good drummer is hard to find.
It's fucking super hard. And a good drummer with their own car and their own drum kit.
Yes. Yes.
We were the
These
first time we
things,
were,
yes. It's a
the
seller's
first
market
time
if
we
you're a
were
drummer.
a 2-piece. I told June, I was like, listen, I have a 98 Toyota Camry. I can either take you in the bass cab or you in some drums. So like we're gonna have to figure this out. Or all of the equipment and you're gonna have to like take the bus or something. But we made it work. No, I just I loved initially the spaciness of the guitars, and that's something that I kind of always wanted. Just like driving strong rhythm with just like verbed out delay, whatever, you know, because I feel like that's nice interplay, and I've had some great drummers and some great guitarists, and I think that as objectively as I can say that this lineup is probably like I think it's the best that like these heavy tempos, any heavy tempo song, has sounded. Not to discredit anyone else, it just feels really good. It just feels really good.
Good.
Yeah.
Tell me about recording. When did you start? And I seem to recall Will building the studio, right?
No, that was built. That was in our house.
Okay.
We moved into a house that had our landlords were like, I think he knew them through work or something like that, and
okay.
And the guy's like a drummer. He like super cool dude.
Does he have a car?
He came, yes, he has a van. He came over the other day to like check on something, and he was wearing like a Scream Bloody Gore like death hoodie. He's like in his 40s with a couple kids and married. No, but he built this studio. The old house that we had was a very huge basement, but like a gross basement.
Okay.
This one is smaller. There's like a vocal booth. There's like a whole monitor setup, and our neighbors are cool. So it just seemed like a no-brainer to move into a place that had a recording studio and a practice space in the basement, you know? So I think we started recording at the old house, and then we moved here. When
was that?
I think we moved in and then just dropped all of our shit here and then like went on tour or something. So we just had like a house full of shit. We were like, asked our friend, we're like, take care of the cats. So that would have been August or September of 2019.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Which is forever ago, you know?
Eons ago.
It's
yes.
so weird talking about it, right?
I know. Yes. It was a very long time ago.
We actually recorded the whole album and then decided it was too slow and then re-recorded. we re-recorded. We re-recorded the whole album.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. I know.
I need a second
to process.
I do. I need a second to process. This is new information. See?
Especially after like the first album, which was just like a very slow.
You had the whole recorded. You had the whole thing done.
No, there were no vocals, but we tracked everything except for vocals. So we didn't, it wasn't like, Metalocalypse when they have the whole record recorded and he just deletes it.
Yes. Okay. Yes. And then they go underwater, isn't that?
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
In the Marianas Trench.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. So we had everything tracked, and we were just listening to it and kind of felt like it wasn't not, because when you play live, naturally things are faster. But I think we just wanted it to be like a little bit closer to how we play it live.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
just kind of with some of the energy, you know. So yeah, we re-recorded. Yeah.
It's amazing.
So that kind of took some time.
Really?
Yeah. It honestly, I mean, we'd been playing those songs for so long that the recording process was actually pretty painful. But we did
Pain.
have to do it twice.
Right. Painless.
I mean, yes. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Painless.
Painless.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Did you? Wow. Did you save those files?
They're probably somewhere.
Yeah.
You want to hear them?
Kinda. I mean, I'm kind of just curious. It's like,
We always have this, like, we always have this at, it's always, I think it's probably every practice where it's like, can you just like speed that up a little bit? And then the next practice, it'll be like, I think that's a little too fast. It's just, it's usually that. So that's kind of what happened with, I think that's kind of what happened was we imagined how they would sound and then we heard how they sounded and then we were like, no, it has to sound better.
Okay. Okay.
Whatever.
That's, I mean, that's not a minor decision,
No.
right? Like that's a big deal.
Yeah, and that's also
even recording with Will, even with the space, you're not paying by the hour, as it were.
mm-hmm.
That's a big. You know what?
Like
you know what? We're just gonna make it again.
It's not like we're like blood, sweat, and tears, and we have to just like trash 30 fucking brass parts. But
no, but
I mean, it is a decision that was made.
It's true about the decision.
Yeah.
Okay. So listening to the album now, what would you change? And maybe make it a little slower.
Just be like, hey guys, I know everything's already at like the vinyl plant, but if you could just man. I don't know, man. I don't know at this point if I would change anything. Mostly because I'm just like, can we please put this fucking album out?
Because you're just that done?
No, I mean, honestly, I think the songs are great. But it's just, this is like, because we had this forced time off, I don't know that it's ever even something that we would have done for ourselves, to just take a break and like not play shows or not, because I don't know, there's like so many cool things going on and it's like you want to do all of them, but then you never really like take the time to make sure that you have more songs. So I'm excited to get this album out. I mean, to put it out, obviously, but so that we can start working on new stuff and kind of like catch up, because we've never been able to like catch up with like lineup changes and stuff like that. And that's part of the reason that some of these songs have just been floating around for as long as they have, So yeah, I'm excited to just I feel like we've kind of evened out now between this album and the new stuff that we're working on.
At the same time, you mentioned before, though, the idea of sort of touring as the vehicle for band growth. And now is the point at which I'm going to ask you about the map in your house.
Yeah.
You have a map, a relief map of the United States, as I recall, in your house. Tell me about this map.
It's a color-coded map with push pins. And and the push pin heads are different colors.
Okay.
So the colors represent how good of a show it was.
Mm-hmm.
So black is like, that's the best show.
Obviously.
And that's the only one I know for sure. There's also like red, green, yellow, and I think blue and white.
Is white the worst show?
It is. Because it's like, eh.
Where was white?
I don't know if I feel comfortable divulging that information.
Oh! Was it? Okay. Okay.
Are you going to take some guesses?
I am. Was it in the upper Midwest?
No, not that I can recall.
Where else is that? Wow, I mean, you've been everywhere, right? At least in the States.
We haven't. We've done the South a lot.
Yeah.
I think the last time we
Muddy Roots, right? I mean, you guys
yeah.
yeah.
And then when we went on tour with Ecstatic Vision, that was South. Same with Ruby the Hatchet. When we played with COC and Mothership, that was like kind of out and then down. I think we were in, what the frick state was that? I can't remember. Was it Wisconsin? I can't remember, but it was like up super high and then basically went down along to New Orleans. And then like Houston. Fucking wild. We were supposed to play the Psycho Smokeout last year.
Mm-hmm.
So that would have been our first time playing out there, and we were going to do some dates through, I think, like Vegas and up into like Northern California and down.
Okay.
That got postponed. And I think the last time we were in the Northeast was probably that Pilgrim tour. But we have played like out and, you know, kind of in all directions. But there's still a pretty large swath of the country that we haven't been to. We were going to do a tour around Monolith on the Mesa, and that would have taken us through more of the places that we hadn't been.
Okay.
You know, like I think Oklahoma and like New Mexico and Minnesota, like that area we haven't really played.
Okay.
Up through there. So like to do that. Like to put some more pins in the map.
Legit. Yeah. When okay, so you've played Philadelphia a number of times. You've played New York a number of times. What happens when the spot on the map gets too crowded with pins?
So I think that I feel like generally the places that are good are just always good.
Okay.
So I think the rule would then be is if
so it's not like a hard and fast every show.
Yeah, so that's not like if you've played, like we've had a good time every time we've played in Austin. So Austin always just stays the good pin.
Okay.
You don't necessarily have to like pin it up every time. You know what I mean?
Okay. See, I was envisioning.
But maybe you have like a well-attended show where you sell less merch, or maybe you have like an under-attended show where you sell a bunch of merch. So that's like the blue, green, red, yellow area, which is a mystery to me because I don't recall. So maybe you pop one of those in Austin. Who knows?
This is a great interview.
I'm glad you picked
doing today. I'm gonna from here on out. I'm gonna schedule all my interviews on Saturday afternoon. This is obviously my peak time for insight and brain interaction.
I'm gonna make a peach cobbler when we're done.
Holy shit, that sounds so good.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Fresh peaches.
Stop.
Like real roadside stand peaches, and some like grandma's peach cobbler mix or some, I don't know, whatever it's called. It's gonna be awesome.
Well, thank you. I have no doubt that it is. Yeah. Tell me about writing new songs.
So this the Lupi Amoris, and then the previous two releases were like I wrote like the most of the songs, and then well, I should say, so those are all my. So I hate talking about this because I'm like, those are my songs, but they are. So I wrote those songs, and then obviously like I didn't write the like guitar solos, and like I'm not a drummer by any stretch of the imagination.
You're not handing out people's parts, but
Right,
you're
right,
you're
right,
you're
right, right.
coming
I
in
mean,
with the foundation of the
yeah,
song.
like I'll be like maybe do the toms here, or like this lead would sound cool here or whatever. But these songs that we've been writing, I have not been doing all of the writing, and it's awesome. Because it's sometimes it's you don't want to like I don't know if this happens to anybody else, but for me, I'm like, am I just writing am I writing the same songs over and over again?
Mm-hmm.
Not to say that I want like, it should always sound like heavy tempo, whatever that means, but I don't want it to be, derivative of it itself, which can happen when you're the one that's writing. It's really nice to just have some writing partners. Paisley just has like he's like he just fucking writes riffs like all day. I don't even know how he works a full-time job. He just like come over to practice and be like, hey, I wrote like these 20 new riffs. It's like, all right, let's parse those out a little bit at a time. I really also think that I think are pretty much done writing for the new album.
Okay.
I don't know what we're gonna do with it or when. I mean, we'll probably just keep writing. But I think that everyone's influences are sort of show through. So it's cool.
How so?
Just like the songs are just kind of all over the place. Within like the realm of like heavy stuff, but like, there's another song that is like reminiscent of Queens of the Stone Age, and there's like one that's got some Jesus Lizard vibes, and then we have like some Psyche, like Black Angels type stuff, and then like a Deep Purple thing going on, and so and not to I don't want to pigeonhole anything, but that's what we listen to. So it makes sense. I think that would be apparent in the songwriting. Mm-hmm. It's been really easy. Songwriting's been easy. We have a show next week, and I'm mostly done writing lyrics for some of those new songs. So we'll see.
Where are you playing next week?
We are playing a outdoor show.
Okay.
For like Philly Beer Week. I think we're headlining on Saturday, and Ruby the Hatchet's headlining
the
on
Sunday. Yeah, okay, I saw that. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Like High Reaper and the band Slow Mo Sapiens from here are really awesome, and I think all the bands sound different, but also Philly is just, and I talked about this before, but Philly, for the most part, everybody's like really supportive, and like kind of doesn't matter what your genre is, people are just into it. Mm-hmm. So but yeah, outdoors, all guidelines, safety first and all that. Not to sound glib, but I think people who have been responsible this whole time deserve a little bit of a treat, and we're gonna continue to be responsible, because that's the fucked up thing. It's like, yeah, you guys can go out and party now, but we're like, cool, but also like
right, yeah,
vaxxed but not totally relaxed.
Right, it's vaxxed and masked. Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, but we're gonna be, this is a nice, I think we're playing for about an hour, and it's like a nice stroll down memory lane, although nothing from the first EP. I would fucking love to start playing Unholy Communion again. The song was awesome. I haven't done that in years, but yeah, this This is like some stuff from Chassit, some stuff from Lupi Amoris, some new stuff. I think we got a cover in there, our very first cover. So,
Of
we are doing an AC/DC cover.
and you're gonna keep it vague.
Um, I mean, I don't. It's weird now because we're doing like label things, so I'm like never sure what I'm supposed to say. But it's. I mean, we played it on during like the Day of Doom live stream, so
Okay.
no, it's probably not a secret. No, we covered. We're doing a cover of "Let Me Put My Love Into You."
Okay.
That's a love song.
Right. Obviously. Yes. One of the many.
I can't. I'm not nearly as badass as Brian Johnson, but I do my own thing. I mean, I have a lot of respect for him now after like learning that song, and Bon Scott's shoes are that's a hard set of dancing shoes to fill. So I think I have like this newfound appreciation for him as a frontman.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. How do you feel about getting on stage again?
I don't know. I'm excited, but also nervous. And in some ways, it's like, oh yeah, this is whatever. It's like getting up and going to work, except more fun.
Right.
And you can drink. So yeah, I don't know. I think we're all ready, but it was weird when we were recording the Day of Doom thing, like being in front of other people and like having to perform in a way, even though it's pre-recorded, but it's still a performance. And it's just like, man, this shit sounded so good in the basement yesterday. Like, why does it sound weird? And it's like, oh, because we're playing for like a purpose, sort of, or whatever. You get the energy and jitters or whatever. So yeah, I'm excited and nervous, but ultimately I think it'll be fun. Probably once you get like the first couple songs out of the way, it just sort of comes back and feels like you have been doing it since March of 2020.
I hope so.
Yeah. We have like party lights in the basement, so it kind of feels like you're in a venue sometimes, and maybe it'll be like our roommate and our neighbor, they'll show up. Like,
right.
we had like 4 people in the basement watching us one time, and we were like, so that's what that feels like.
Ah. Yeah. It's a good show.
You played better, honestly. You're like, I can't look like a chump down here while there's my roommates
4
here.
people. I don't want to, because you really feel the harsh judgment of those 4 people, right?
Boo!
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Boo! You live next door.
Yeah, right. Banging on the walls.
I want to ask about the Women of Doom comp, and then I'm going to let you go.
Sure.
Not only because that was Nighthawk and Heavy Temple, which was different. Can you hear my kid? He's yelling in the other room.
I have people recording. It kind of sounds like children screaming.
Yeah, there you go. I don't know what he's yelling about. He's fucking yelling about something every day about nothing.
Is it funny? They're just like drunk small people.
Yeah, except
he's just like a drunk dude that's like yelling at a sign.
Yeah, it's hilarious till you live with it.
Well, that's
anyway.
Well, I mean, I kind of do. I kind of do.
Touche.
Yeah.
So tell me about the Women of Doom comp. Tell me about bringing out the Doom in Heavy Temple.
Yeah. So actually, that song was written by our drummer and was just never used for anything. And so we got asked to, actually, that's not true. I was super into the people that they were putting on that comp. Because we played with Royal Thunder, we've played with Doomstress, we've played with Year of the Cobra. And I was like, I want to do that. So I was like, hey, can we do that? And they said, sure. So then I think it was like, we were, again, it was one of those things where we were like busy. So we were like, okay, what do we do? Do we just like write something new? Do we whatever? And so, so he suggested, and he's like, I have this song and it's called Women of Doom. So like, let's just do something that's a little bit out of our normal, not our comfort zone, but like something that people wouldn't necessarily expect. And I definitely did write all of the lyrics and sing specifically in the style of like Messiah.
Legit. Yeah.
Because Candlemass is awesome. So yeah, it came together really nicely. He tracked the drums and I think the bass, and then Paisley came in to do the guitar, and then I did the vocals. Yeah, and you know, and then we did everything in house. So it's awesome.
Nice.
We're a little spoiled. We're a little spoiled.
Recording in house.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
It's so easy, you know. You don't have to like bring your stuff anywhere. You don't have to, you know.
I hear good things.
But that definitely makes it. I mean, we did the same thing with like the Funkadelic song.
Mm-hmm.
It was just, yeah, it's weird. We can just like record stuff now all the time, which is awesome.
Fortunately, I hear you have a batch of new songs.
This is true.
There you go.
This is true. I think we might go to a location for that because we've never really like done that as a band.
And you'd like to make it harder?
Yes.
Yes.
But you know, it's always, every album has been recorded in a basement or a garage.
Okay.
So not that there's anything wrong with that, but I think it would just be nice to go somewhere, have somebody else engineer everything, like not have to, you know, and when you're on someone else's time, you're way less likely to smoke and drink. So
or scrap the entire album and start again.
I would delete that.
I guess if I was in charge, I would say.
I'm bringing it back to
yes,
Saint Anger.
that was good. You know? It was good. Yes, Lars's dad is a regular around my house. I would say delete that. Yes. Yeah. No.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, Women of Doom is awesome. I love that song, and I would love for us to learn it and to be able to play it live. There's like 6 fucking guitar tracks or something in like a canon. It sounds like one of our friends came over and he was like, dude, this sounds like somebody's fucking like WWE walkout track. And I was like, that's what we should do.
That would be amazing and probably a good chunk of change.
Oh man, yeah, but no, that was fun. All recording is mostly fun. I'm looking forward to doing some more of it.
What is 2032? What happens in 2032?
Oh wait, hold on. I want to show you the back of this freaking badass shirt. Can you see that it's a skull on top of like a?
Oh my goodness!
Shit?
It is. It's a skull on top of a semi. Yeah. Okay.
This is a Bad Bunny shirt.
Okay.
He's one of my favorites.
Okay.
Which I feel like I've introduced a couple of my metal friends to him, and now they're like all about it because he's like he's a real Renaissance man.
I can't believe I didn't immediately glean that from the.
No, I also have people that are like, "What's 2032?" And I was like, maybe when the world's gonna end. I don't know, because the album is called, I think, like The Last World Tour, and it says 2032. He put out like 3 albums last year, and he's been on SNL, and then he just did like, he's been on WWE or E, right? What are they?
E
now? Yeah.
E.
And then he just performed on the billboards with like a white fur coat with like a fucking scorpion on it. and some like god tier like silver shades. I don't know. They're awesome. He's like a Puerto Rican like trap reggaeton artist.
Obviously. Okay.
Obviously.
I am so glad I asked. Glad I asked.
Yeah. I don't. It's not a secret. It's not a secret.
I knew that because you weren't at all vague about it.
No, I was not vague about that.
No,
I was
you
not
weren't.
vague about that.
Okay. High Priestess Nighthawk.
Yeah.
I thank you.
Oh, thank you for
taking the time to speak to me on this silly Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
I'm going to stop the recording now. So
okay.
Thank you and fake goodbye. Here we go.